Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Nick Zulovich, part of the team at Cherokee Media Group and senior editor at AutoFin Journal and Subprime Auto Finance News. In today's webinar, 5 auto marketing strategies to win locally. We're going to learn more from Kurt Offerines of Podium and Sean V. Bradley of Dealer Synergy. But before we get started, just a quick couple housekeeping items for today's webinar. We are recording today's session and we'll make that recording available to you as quickly as possible. You'll be in listen-only mode for the webinar, but we will reserve some time after the presentation for a Q&A segment. You can submit your questions at any time through the chat function here on Zoom. And if we aren't able to get to your question today, don't worry, because we'll forward it directly to Podium so they can respond back to you directly. So with plenty of knowledge and recommendations to share, let's get right to Kurt and Sean for our webinar. Take it away, gentlemen.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And first of all, thank you for everybody who's joining. We're excited to walk through this with you, talk about 5 different strategies for you to win locally. My name is Kurt Offerines. I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at Podium. We have Sean here with us. I'll let Sean introduce himself.
Hey, this is Sean V. Bradley, President of Dealer Synergy, and I'm really excited to be able to share some of my experience with your audience.
Awesome. And Sean and I are going to ping pong kind of back and forth. We'll go through some slides. Again, hold your questions till the end and we'll make sure to get them answered. Or again, as was stated earlier, please feel free to reach out and we'll get them answered after the webinar. So we will just dive right in. So I think we all can understand and we all can appreciate that most car shoppers are unhappy with the current buying experience, right? It's filled with numerous friction pain points. And overall, consumers pretty much dread the process. And it's so painful that 54% of car buyers would actually pay more if they were able to get a better experience, which in my eyes, that's a pretty huge deal, right? Like this is one of people's largest purchases they're going to make in their lives, one of many, but they're willing to say, I'd pay more if it was a better experience.
No, but real quick on that, if you think about it though, we've heard this phrase before, the bigger the problem, the more money people are willing to pay for it. And I think it's important that dealerships pay attention to the data, because if the data is screaming out there saying like, look, people don't like this, they don't like it so much, they're willing to even pay more money than the average bear would if you're able to provide a better experience. So I think that's an amazing stat that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, not often do people say I'd pay more. So if we have an opportunity to get people to pay more, let's give them a better experience.
No, my brother, that is funny. Like you're absolutely right. Like let's pause for a second, dramatic pause, and think about that. How often in life do people like, no, I'll actually pay you more. This is how much this sucks. Is that I'm willing to give you more money to make it not suck. I love that.
Yeah, and even a kind of secondary stat to that is 3/4 of people say they would come back more often if it was better, right? So what is that? To me, that says, look, I'm missing out on repeat customers because they're not coming back because they don't want to come back because they dread the experience, right? So is someone holding onto their car longer and not coming back to buy a new one just because they don't want to go through that experience? It's feasible, right? 3/4 of people say that's probably what's happening.
Man, how many times do people say, I can't wait to go back to the dentist? I mean, like they try to avoid the dentist at all costs, and it sounds like with this stat, it's similar with dealerships. But again, yeah, this is a huge stat, my friend. That if we are able to change the experience, we're going to be able to have more people come back. And again, it's not just the car sales; it's also parts, aftermarket, and there's so many other things. There's so many other profit centers that dealerships have. But if people aren't there, you're not going to be able to benefit from the potential opportunity.
Yeah, I think a lot of focus is on new car sales or used car sales, right? But fixed ops side of the house is a whole nother ball game that, if the experience is not great, they're going to go elsewhere or not come in, right? So we've got to make that experience great for them when they purchase the car and every repeat visit after that.
If I may, let me just touch on what you just said. This is a very powerful stat. NADA says that a service customer is 7 times as likely to purchase a vehicle from where they service the car from. So it is imperative that, to your point right now, it's not just the sales and instant gratification, it's also the ownership experience. People are going to spend way more time in the ownership stage of the relationship with the dealership than the actual just physical buying the vehicle. So we need to have a dual strategy. One, to secure business for the instant gratification, but to your point, get people to keep coming back, and that is through the fixed operations.
Yep, exactly. So I think we can all agree it's time to modernize the car buying journey, right? If I can check inventory at my local retailer, if I can text my bank, if I can order groceries online and have them delivered or picked up within an hour, right? Like, we've got to modernize one of the larger buying experiences of the consumer, and that is buying a car, right? It's got to be a better journey.
Amen.
So how do we do that, right? How do we make that a modern experience? And really, it's all about conversations, right? So the modern customer journey it's about conversations, right? It's a series of conversations. Customers start their buying journey with a search online, and that's pretty much true for every industry. Like, you start online with whatever purchase you're going to make, right? And then your competitor, if they rank higher than you, you're probably going to pick that competitor, right? You're using online results, local search results, which we'll tie into here in a second, using those results to make your decision. And then once they've made that decision, they're going to check your website. They're going to look for inventory. They might send you a message, right, through your website or social media. And then they might come into the dealership, right? And once they come in, they may transact. Then you have an opportunity to capture an opt-in for marketing messages via text. You can request a review to kind of feed that Google machine. So you're capturing more customers down the line, right? It's really a series of conversations, both online and offline. And 92% of car buyers do research online before they buy, right? I would even say it's probably close to 100%, right? But no stat's ever 100%, but 90+% of people are searching online, and they're spending a lot of time doing it. They're spending 14 hours on average searching about cars, right, before they make their purchase. And when you think about the online and offline experience, 2 times as many auto consumers start their search online versus walking into a dealership, right? Almost all. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
No, I just am excited about the stat that you have in here. Folks, what you're hearing is extremely important. When I wrote the book, Win the Game of Googleopoly, I did a massive research on Google, and here's what's crazy. Think about this. People find their husbands, their wives, their pets, their medication, their restaurants, and damn Skippy, their automobiles online. So Covey from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People says in the 3rd habit, put first things first, which means be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. So if you're a dealership, you got to ask yourself, what is the preeminent, which means the supreme, the top, the most important thing that you could do that's going to have the most dramatic effect on your business? I'm going to repeat that. What is the preeminent thing that you could focus on that's going to have the most dramatic effect on your business? And there's nothing more powerful than mastering internet operations. Why? Because the stat that Podium has right here is crystal clear. The vast majority of people start there. This is either won or lost from the online initial engagement or opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And take that further, it's the mobile device, right? 33% of the time, they're doing the research on a mobile device, and that's going to continue to increase, right? I think about, we just bought a couch recently, right? And I went to the area that has all the furniture stores, and I pulled into a gas station. I pulled up my phone and looked at local search results, looked at all the reviews before I even made a decision of which store I was going to go to, right? I'm using my mobile device. I'm sitting in front of 15 stores, and I use that device before I walk in to make sure I'm going to go to the right one, right? And that's going to continue to increase, right? And so we have got to bridge the online and the offline experience, right? It's extremely important. We need to think about the phone or mobile device being a relationship builder, not just an internet browser, right? It's a communication channel, and it's a relationship builder, and we have to use it that way.
I would agree. What I just heard you say too is that what you personally do is you use the reviews to decide who you're going to actually go to. Most people don't realize this. People don't use online reviews to really find who should they go see. They're eliminating bad choices. Think about that. They're looking at the reviews. Okay, this person's no good. This person's no good. And it narrows down the search who they're going to give their time, energy, and focus to. So this is extremely critical to make sure that you're paying attention to your online reputation, because again, all that money you're spending in marketing, advertising to drive the opportunity instantaneously could disintegrate if you're not really focused on a strategy of showcasing all of your awesomeness. Agreed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that experience for a consumer, on a mobile device is critical, and it's going to be the way in the future people do business, right? It is already, but it's not going anywhere. So I think it's very clear to state that it's only going to increase over time.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into these strategies, right? How do we win locally? The first, obviously, is we got to show up in local search results, right? Without showing up in local search results, you cannot win local business. 72% of consumers who search for local business are going to go within 5 miles, right? They're going to choose a business within 5 miles. Now, for me, that's a massive stat for conversion of local search, right? So I'm going to go online. I'm going to look for a business for whatever I'm purchasing. In this case, buying a car, and I want to choose something that's within a 5-mile radius of where I am, right? So they're no longer coming in and just going to drive up to your dealership or drive up to the store and walk in. They're going to do research first, and they want to make sure you show up locally. So what impacts that search ranking? I think we probably all know the answer here, but I'm going to state it. It's reviews, right? When you think about Google, and Sean can talk to this, right, because he's written a book about it, is that Google wants to give you the most relevant results in the moment, right? That's what their job is. And so how do they do that? What can they use to understand what's relevant? They use reviews, right? They use overall star rating. They use quality of reviews. They use quantity of reviews, frequency, which I think is a one that we probably forget about. You think, oh, I have a ton of reviews. Well, if they're not frequent, no one cares, right? Like I don't care if you have 1,000 reviews and the last one was a year ago. I don't want to know what happened a year ago. I want to know what happened yesterday, right? It doesn't matter to me what happened in the past. I want to know what's happening now. And then one that I think everyone forgets about is the response, right? You need to respond to your reviews. It is a critical piece of the algorithm for Google to make sure you show up in local search rankings.
Yeah, listen, you are spot on. What made Google so successful, if you read the whole story of how Google became Google, is they wanted to simplify their search. And at the end of the day, they want to provide the absolute best result for whatever particular search it is. They want to take all the distractions out. That's why it's just a white screen. And to do that, think about this. If I'm looking for a restaurant, I'm looking for a car dealership. Okay, how do you validate that car dealership is a good place and is a good, suggestion that Google wants to suggest to you as the prospect, right? Simple, by what other people are saying. So if you, like to your point, if you don't have a lot of reviews, if those reviews don't have comments on them, or if those reviews don't get shared on, if there's not the consistency and frequency of those reviews, then Google thinks that either you're a fluke or a one-hit wonder, that, you know what I mean, or that somebody is stacking or engineering a false, result. You know what I mean? Like that you're not really that good. You're just, you're just blitzkrieging you're injecting some positive reviews, but really it's not consistent. So you need to have a cohesive, consistent strategy for your online reputation. That's not just, muscles and you're done. It's got to be continuous, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be continuous, right? Like I think, the question is, well, how do I improve the quality and quantity, right, of reviews? Well, you ask. It's simple. It sounds simple. You ask, right? But you ask in a certain way, right? You have to remove the friction in the way that you ask, right? So you have to have a strategy to ask every consumer for a review, right? There's no cherry picking here. 99% of your customers are happy. Ask all of them, right? You will be surprised by the results, right? Don't be concerned to ask every single person for a review. But you have to ask in the right way, right? It has to be automated, right? So you cannot rely on your staff to continue manually asking for reviews and hope that somebody goes online and does it. It has to be automated, and it has to be via a text, right? It has to be sent with a text with a direct link to Google to remove all of that friction for someone to leave a review. I work for a review company, and unless somebody makes it super simple for me to leave a review, I'm not going to do it, right? Because I have 15 other things I'm thinking about at any given moment. And so if you don't make it top of mind for me and simple to click my thumb a couple times and leave you a 5-star review, it's just not gonna happen.
I would agree.
Yeah, and you may ask, well, why text? Well, text has a 98% open rate, right? Doesn't matter who texts you. You can get a short code in the middle of the night, right, from somebody, and guess what? You wake up, you're going to open that text, and you're going to read it, right? So we need to utilize the channel that has the highest open rate. 98% is pretty darn close to every one of them, and use that channel to capture reviews from your consumers. So, quick case study: Mercedes-Benz of Buckhead. They started using a text to capture reviews. They increased their reviews by 300%. They went from below a 4.0 to above a 4.0. And we'll talk about that, but a 4.0 is a very critical piece for a review, right? So most consumers don't choose a business below a 4.0. If you don't believe me, go in and search for best dentist or best furniture store. Google now will automatically filter anybody but out below 4.0, right? It's a critical threshold for reviews. But by using Podium using a text to collect reviews, they increase their star rating by almost 10%, and they're capturing 5 times the number of reviews they were capturing when they were not asking or just asking manually. So now that we've shown up locally, how do we start the conversation?
Well, again, we need to make it easy to start the conversation, right? So you're going to click the clicker for me?
Yeah, I got you, Sean.
So he's driving this ship for me.
So, I'm not a good driver. I am. So.
Right. So 60% of consumers searching for a vehicle on a mobile device will call the dealership from a call extension. 50% of website visitors from a mobile device expect your website to offer a live web chat option. So let's talk about this for a second. From your perspective at Podium, how many dealers are actually equipped to do business the way that the statistics are telling us that we should be doing business? Do you know that?
I would say less than half.
Okay, so think about that, folks. This is very important. If I knew the answers to the test, right? If I had the secret decoder ring, I wouldn't fail the test ever, would I? So when we have these huge companies that are doing all this analytical data and are finding out what people want, need, how they do business, and then companies like Podium are explaining that to dealers, but yet more than half of dealers are not taking these strategies seriously. You know what that tells me? Opportunity. If you're listening to this webinar, you have the opportunity to have an unfair competitive edge over your competition by utilizing these strategies right here. And again, you have a 50% shot of doing something that nobody else is doing because they're sleeping at the wheel. Let's continue.
Okay, it goes back to the mobile device, right? I feel like we'll keep coming back to it because it matters.
Yeah, so for auto consumers, the mobile device is the bridge between online and offline conversations. For my data, what I find is that most people are accessing their information, off of their mobile devices, their social medias off of their mobile devices. If somebody submits an internet purchase request, whether it was on a desktop, laptop, it doesn't really matter. When you respond to them or your CRM is deploying your automatic, action plans, they're receiving it and they're viewing it off of their mobile device. So again, it's extremely important. Your thoughts though, Kurt?
Yeah, it's how we communicate with everyone we interact with, right? It's how I talk to my mom, how I talk to my friends, right? Like it's a personal interaction for me. And so why would you not want to be able to interact with your consumers in a personal way, the way they want to interact?
You just said something too, about your mom. And so this is another thing that's important though, is that text messaging or mobile communications aren't, just for the Generation X or the Generation Z. You have baby boomers, you've got senior citizens that are actively engaging in mobile and mobile technology to communicate, with their grandkids. They're using, I have 75-year-old uncles and parents and stuff like that are communicating with mobile devices through Apple FaceTime or Zooms or through text message. So it's just important that we understand that if our prospects prospects and our clients in their everyday lives are using this technology, then it is not a suggestion. It is imperative that we embrace this technology to communicate with with people the way that they're normally used to communicating. Would you agree?
I would agree. And I will also say my mom, when she texts, she has perfect grammar. Every period's in the right place. Everything is capitalized. She even texts in paragraphs. So just that's a quick story about my mom and how she texts, right? But again, she texts, right? She doesn't call me, she texts. And again, like Sean said, it's not a suggestion, it's a must. We have to be able to communicate with consumers the way they want to communicate in the channels they want to communicate in.
So, and that's the slide that's right on here. So add a web chat function to your website to provide personalized help. Route web chat conversations to a customer's local dealership. Convert web chat conversations to text messages for conversations on the go. Man, these are strong. Now, the last one though, converting web chat conversations to text messages for conversations on the go. So this is interesting, okay? Because instead of just having a chat feature on the website, like so that landlocks somebody to just that website, that chat feature, to be able to transfer that conversation. So my understanding is somebody goes onto the website, they start communicating. Okay, some technologies out there landlock it, and that's the only way they could continue is through that chat feature. But having the ability to convert that web chat conversation to text message, and they could continue on through mobile. Can you speak about that? Because I think that not a lot of dealers are really maximizing this strategy right here.
They're not, right? So if you think about live chat, there's a couple things that happen. One is consumers don't like it because you are now tied to your computer, right? Think about chatting with Verizon or AT&T or Comcast, and like, yeah, I'd rather pull my toenails out, right, or move. And it's not an experience that anybody likes, right? Because now you're tied, you're stuck for who knows how long, right? Secondly, you think about a live chat. If I walk away from my computer, I'm now a ghost to that business. I don't exist anymore. There's nobody to chase, right? So when you think about moving it to a text message, one, the consumer is now on the go. They're mobile again, right? They're more comfortable texting. They're not tied to their desk. And two, you have a lead, right? You're not chasing a ghost anymore. So if for some reason I go silent, you have a name, a number, and a communication channel that you know that I use, right? So again, it's for a long time we thought, hey, we just need to get a live chat on our website and we'll be okay. Well, it's not good enough anymore, right? Because people are frustrated with that experience. They want to be mobile, right? They want to be on the move, and you don't want to chase a ghost. So there's a ton of great reasons to move things to a text message.
I would agree. This is your.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the connected conversation, that's what we'll say, right? Is you need to be connected to that consumer, right? We think about CarMart, America's CarMart. I'm sure you've heard of CarMart, right? They have 63,000 annual messages being sent out, and they have a 24% conversion on web chat. That means 1 in 4 people that chat into their website is buying a car, right? Like, to me, it's a crazy stat. Like, if you can convert 1 in 4 people that show up on your lot or show up on your website, I mean, why wouldn't you do it? Yes, exactly.
Now that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is phenomenal. Okay, so now that we've, showed up locally, we're talking to the consumer, right? And they're making a purchase. Now we want to get paid, right? How do we get paid? How do we get paid faster, right? That's probably a question everyone has is, I need to make sure I get paid, but I want to do it in a really efficient and fast manner. That's by text. Nearly 80% of consumers say that they want a business to continue offering contactless payments after the pandemic. It's one thing that might stay around afterwards, right? When we're all through this, right? The contactless payment, I think we all agree, it's a much more efficient, it's safer, it's faster, it's convenient, and it's sanitary, right? And 4 out of 5 consumers say they want that to stick around. And this stat blows my mind. It's telling us that 1 out of 4 people will walk away if you don't offer payments the way they want to pay, right? That means somebody could come in and say, hey, no, you don't offer pay by text. Like, I'll go somewhere else. Right? I don't want to pay via cash. I don't want to pay via credit card. I want you to send me a link, right? That makes it super easy for me to pay. So this is in my eyes, it's a really simple opportunity to make sure you don't lose 25% of your consumers because you're not offering contactless payments. When we look at payments, we think of it as more of an opportunity, not just a transaction, right? 41% of consumers report that convenient payment methods are a top consideration in their decision to make a purchase. Again, that goes back to that stat of, hey, if I'm not offering payments the way you want to pay, I'm going to go somewhere else that is, because I know somebody is offering similar services and I can pay the way that I prefer to pay. 1 out of 3 consumers do not prefer to use their credit card or cash, right? And then that same stat, 3 out of 4 people want contactless payments to stay around after the pandemic. I'm sure we've all had the experience where you show up at a restaurant or a store and they only offer cash and you don't have cash and you say, okay, well, I wanted to buy that, whatever that was, but I have to walk away, right? Because I'm not going to go to ATM. I'm not going to go get cash out. We have to make sure that we're making, conversations easy, but also payments extremely easy. So how do you modernize your payment experience? One, again, we've said it numerous times, you got to offer contactless, convenient payment options like text. You have to send a payment link via a text, and then it has to be personalized, right? It has to let them know, okay, 1, who's it from? 2, what's it for? And 3, who is it for, right? So they got to understand the bill, and it makes it simpler for them to make that payment because they have clear understanding of what it is, and they have a record of that payment afterwards. And a quick proof point, Van Horn started using payments about 12 months ago. They collected about $8 million in Podium payments, and they have over a 90% payments collection rate.
Damn.
All right, now we talk about SMS. So I'm going to give it back to Sean.
Yeah, so use SMS marketing to increase shopper engagement. Again, 75% of consumers say that they want to receive marketing offers via text message. Let's pause on this. Kurt just said this earlier before, people prefer text messaging. And let's talk about it, just a couple of reasons why, because it's not intrusive. Think about this. If somebody calls you, if you're in a meeting, you have to stop and possibly disrespect who you're in front of, or it's an ordeal. But with text message, it's kind of covert. You could turn around and watch this. You could just look down really quick at your text messaging and get a feeling. Is this something really important? Is something I need to see? So it's just convenient. It's stealth. And at the end of the day, people prefer it. And that's the reason why this is important right here, is if people prefer something, we need to be hyper focused and listening to what people prefer. Again, I live by a rule in my house: happy spouse, happy house. Not happy wife, happy life. Like we're equal in our house. So happy spouse, happy house. It's simple. It's if you make your prospects happy, you're going to be profitable. So that's just my little, simple little analogy here. But do you agree with me with this, brother?
100%. Yeah. I just took my car in for service last week, and they called me 4 times to let me know that it was complete. And it took me 24 hours to actually get back to them, right? If they would have texted me, I'd have been there by 5 o'clock that day, and I would have picked up my car. But I was in meetings all day, didn't have a chance to check my voicemail, right? Text would have solved both of our issues, right? It would have made them easier for them and easier for me. They would have opened up a bay, and I would have got my car faster.
At the end of the day, you hit it right there again. Beautiful. You're good at this. Is that, you just said it's convenient. At the end of the day, that's what we got to do. It's not only provide a superior product or service, but provide a superior product and service and make it convenient and fun. If we could do those things, check, we're going to be able to get those checks. Just saying.
Convenience wins, right? It's a simple statement, but convenience wins every single time.
Okay, so
and email is not convenient. So I'll give it to you, Sean. But
no, this is my thing. I am like anti-email. Okay, do you know something? Here's a quick stat that I don't know if you know. Do you know what percentage of all email is spam?
I'm not going to guess. It's probably a high number, over 50%. But
over 97%. Did you hear what I said? Over 97% of all email is spam. Think about it. First and foremost, let me kind of explain here. You have one of the most primitive forms of communication, and because it's free and because it's not regulated like the FCC TCPA guidelines for text message compliancy, it's like the wild, wild west. And so when something's free and they can automate it, there's a lot of crap that's in there. And so here's the reality. How many people do you know, rhetorical question, that have multiple email addresses? They got their personal email address, they got their work email address, and they have their leave me alone email address when I go to Amazon.com. But if it's your cell phone, you have one cell phone for the most part. And so the text messages are going to the exact right audience. And so for me, I think that, emails are just antiquated. They're not useless because they're free. You could get some value. But again, 18% average email open rate, average email click-through rate is only 2.6. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I respectfully disagree with that 18%. Go back from my data at Dealer Synergy. When we're analyzing CRMs, do you know how low the read open rates are? They're lower than 6%. So we track millions of emails on an annual basis, and the read open rates for the automatic templates, this is really high. From what our company shows, it's 6% or lower. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you do too, Sean, but I wake up in the morning every morning and I delete about 30 emails, right? Every single, I should probably just opt out, but then I sit there and I delete them, right? And it's a waste of my time. And honestly, those brands that send me constant emails that I have to delete, like they don't have a great view in my mind, right? I'm annoyed by them because they constantly pester me with a communication channel that I don't care about.
Yes.
It's not relevant to me.
1000%. And email has the lowest conversion rate for auto customers at only 0.8%. I mean, that's pretty freaking low. Okay, so text by the numbers, 90% average open rate, 95% of texts are open within 3 minutes. 209% is the higher response rate than phone, email, or Facebook. Well, hold on. 209%. I don't care what it is. Anything that's got like a 2 and 00, I'm paying attention to. So if somebody tells me that, why do you want to swim upstream? Why do you want to like walk backwards? You know what I mean? You don't. Being successful in business is being able to, not just work hard, but work smartly, move strategically. Okay, 65.6% of consumers think texting makes working with a local business more convenient. Agreed. 75% of consumers are okay with receiving texts from brands after they've opted in, and 1.8 times more prefer than any other communication method, and 10 times higher coupon redemption through text than other types of coupons. Again, look. You ever heard that phrase, Kurt? It looks like a duck. It quacks like a duck.
Quacks like a duck. It's going to be a duck.
It's a duck.
Yeah.
So again, folks, look. I mean, there's an old cliche that people lie, but numbers don't lie. I mean, math is math. This is not a philosophy. This is not a hypothetical. This is not a possible. This is not like I think I can. No, this is mathematically imprinted into reality. These are the numbers. So I don't know why anybody would see this and go, I'm an email. It just don't make sense.
It doesn't.
Okay, increase customer engagement and campaign response rates. Use SMS campaigns to connect better with customers and increase sales. Build your opt-in list with natural customer touchpoints, after service, web chat, initial appointment. Send personalized offers directly to customers' mobile devices. I mean, I'm going to give you an analogy here. My kid is super genius when it comes to Legos. Like me, not so much. I could build like a wall. That's what I got, But there's some people that are like Lego masters. They just get a bunch of bricks and they can just create really cool things. When you understand the rules of engagement for text messaging and SMS strategies, then you could get creative and start to figure out ways where you could implement it in the process. And these are just a couple examples right here. Kurt, do you have anything that you would suggest to elaborate on this?
Yeah, the great thing about text, you can personalize it. One, it's already a personal communication channel. You have a great opportunity to understand your customer base and personalize those offers, right? A lot of the emails I get, I know were sent to a million other people, and they're not personalized to me, right? It's not a coupon I care about, right? It's not something that I was going to buy anyways. On a text, if it comes to me and it's personalized and it hits me at the right time, it gives me they know my buying history, right? And it gives me the opportunity or the offer that I'm looking for in that moment. Guess what? I'm going to hit it, right? I'm going to buy it. I'm going to click on the button. I'm going to click on the link and I'm going to put it in my cart because it's personalized and it hits me when I want that particular offer.
I got a couple questions for you. I'm about to supersize your value meal with this statement, but I want to follow. So with Podium and the text messaging technology that you guys possess, is there a possibility to have video inside the text messages? Is that
Absolutely, absolutely,
okay, so
yes.
let me get some biggie fries for this value package right here. Folks, let me explain something to you. Video is the most powerful medium on the planet. People prefer video more than reading, writing, texting, talking. They prefer to consume video. I believe the average human being, at least in this country, consumes over 8 hours of video content per day. Dr. McQueevy from Forrester Research says, and this is cool, 1 minute of video is equivalent to 1.8 million written words. Let me break down the science to this. Okay, so there's a science of communication. This is I told you, biggie fries right here, right?
Yeah, supersize.
Yeah, 55% of communication is visual perception and body language. 38% of communication is sound and inflection. Only 7% of communication is the text, are the words that we use. So text in the medium based on science of communication is only 7%. That's why if somebody's got caps on, it's almost like they're yelling at you, stop yelling at me, because you can't tell tone, inflection, intent through a static email or a static text message. But if you take this amazing medium of SMS and text messaging and you combine it, synergize it, pun intended, right? We're dealing with synergy. If you synergize with it, you're going to be able to have the best trap, the best method, which is text messaging, with the best communication, which is video. Check it out. You've got sight, sound, motion, and emotion. And my stat is this. It increases read opens up to 99%. So again, text message already has a high read open rate, as you discussed earlier in the presentation. But by adding video, it's the sprinkles, that's the icing, and it takes it to the whole next level. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the proof, right? Here is a single, I should say simple. It is simple, actually. Simple and single SMS campaign, 3,000 subscribers, 4% response rate, 6% click rate, and 8 cars sold, right? This probably took a half an hour to an hour to build, right? And sold 8 cars, right? If I could tell you could sell 8 cars for every half an hour of work, I'm pretty sure we'd all jump on that train, right? Like that's a pretty simple equation.
I got to tell you, this is one of our joint clients, and I know the Moss family very well. They've been a client for years, and these numbers are extremely incredible to me. You know what I mean? So again, if you're a dealer that's looking at this and you don't start to pivot and evolve your strategy, I don't know what else to say. You know what I mean? Like, again, like the numbers are crystal clear right here. All you've got to do is follow the yellow brick road, and you're going to be as successful as the Moss family is.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, how do we keep the conversation going? So 90% of consumers prefer to speak with a business via text. I mean, I think we keep saying the same thing and probably different statistics, right? And that's on purpose, right? There's so many statistics, no matter how you slice and dice it, telling us that consumers want to text, right? That there's no other way to say it besides that's what they want. It's truly an unfair advantage, right? When you look at these statistics of how do you currently converse with your local business, right? I mean, you look at these statistics, it's phone, email, social media, website, text, right? But how do you want to? It's text.
Can I jump in? I want to.
Please do.
I also want to share something. Not everything is created equally, okay? But I believe in the diversified approach. If you're following up with a prospect or a client, you have traditional like mail or postcards. Okay, there's value there. Then you have traditional like, standard email. Then you have video email. You've got text messaging. You got video text messaging. You got social media. You've got chat. There's all these different forms of communication. I want the audience to think of this almost like mixed martial arts, just for a second, just a clear analogy. Back in the day when there was just boxing, it's just stand up. But now there's so many different combinations. payments. What I want dealers to understand is they have now an arsenal of tools, but not all tools are created equal. So I really respect what Podium is doing by putting this type of education out there, because I think you're making the community aware. Look, there's a diversity of options or an arsenal of tools and resources to engage and convert dealers, but these ones have a higher probability of engagement and conversion. And that's what we need to focus on, is that through the text message and SMS strategy, it is actually better, not opinion, factually, statistically, articulated, that if you do this, you're going to do more, be more, and achieve more.
Yeah, exactly. And I think these stats can be misleading. It says, hey, 70% of consumers use phone. It's not because it's their choice, right? They don't want to use the phone. It's the only communication medium that the business is giving them. They want to use text, right? And so you need to make sure, we all need to make sure that we are giving the communication channel to the consumer that they want to use. And again, the personal communication channel, which is text. I think the other piece that we probably don't talk about as much is centralizing the communication into a single platform, right? On both sides of the house. When I think about centralizing communication, I think about the business and making it more efficient, right? To be able to bring Facebook conversations, text conversations, GMB conversations, potentially phone calls, video chats onto a single platform to make it more efficient. I also think about the consumer, right? Think about my experiences as a consumer when I go to a place of business and I get 4 different communications through 4 different phone numbers or a couple different short codes, right? It's a really convoluted and divided experience for me as a consumer. When if I could start a conversation via web chat, I could communicate with the customer via or with the business via text, I could then pay via text, and then I could at the end of all that leave a review via text, right? In a single thread, like I talk to my brother or to my mom or to my best friend, like that is, I mean, it's a win, right? It's a win on both sides of the house where we're more efficient as a business, but we also are giving the consumer a really streamlined experience. Anything you want to add, Sean?
Man, again, I think we're hammered in. They're like, okay, we get it.
No, we get it. We get it. Text, I got it. And here's the proof, right? We'll give you one more proof point with Ken Garth, right? Where they have 440 monthly inbound leads coming through a web chat. They have 2,000 total reviews, and their average star rating is a 4.4.
Again, it's in the numbers, people. It's right there.
It's in the numbers. So quick recap. Look, there's 5 different strategies. 1, you got to show up in local search results. 2, you got to make it super easy to start the conversation, right? So half the battle is getting found. The other half is starting the conversation. 3, you got to make sure you're getting paid faster by text. That's what the consumer wants. 4, like Sean said, you got to use SMS marketing to increase the engagement of that consumer. And then 5, keep the conversation going, right? Like when they want to come back to you, make another purchase, they can pull up that text thread, start the conversation again, like they would again with the family friends. That's what you want. You want to make it easy to be a repeat customer, right? Convenience wins every single time.
What he said.
So quick plug on Podium, right? We help you consolidate the technology, right? Tech stack consolidation, right? So all the things we talked about, from capturing reviews through text, starting a conversation via web chat, right? Giving the ability for a consumer or a customer when on your website to start a text conversation, getting paid faster by text payments, sending out campaigns via a text message, bringing voicemails and voice calls into the single platform, doing video chats with the consumers, and capturing insightful feedback at the end of the whole experience, right? Podium gives you the ability to bring all that into a single solution. We're not a point solution. We're trying to consolidate all of these different technologies that you probably have dabbled in somewhere, right? You probably have thought about buying a review platform, or thought about buying a payments platform or a campaigns platform. Well, it needs to be in a single platform, not only for you as a business, but going back to what the consumer wants. They want that streamlined experience, right? If you have 4 different technologies, platforms to send out different kinds of communication, that means the consumer is getting 4 different types of communication through 4 different channels. Not a great experience for them.
I'm going to say this again, as the president of Dealer Synergy, we have 3,500 rooftops. We've been in business for about 17 years, large dealer groups, mid-sized dealer groups, and independent dealerships, everything in between. We have a lot of companies that are on Podium. Y'all know me. I would not be getting on a webinar with, a pirate company. You know what I mean? Like, Podium is a really good company. They've got some amazing technology. But what I really like is the fact that not only they have great technology, but their team, as far as the support, the client success, not customer service. Their mission is client success. So they're there to provide world-class technology, but also the onboarding, training, and support. So I definitely, hands down, kudos to the Podium team. And I love when you guys invite me to turn around and do these webinars, because I love that you're also educating, the industry to things that they should be doing.
And I think it goes back to, we keep saying, like, all the stats show why you should do it, right? So why haven't you done it yet? And I think it's out of not knowing how. Like, where do I begin, or how do I start? You think about campaign text messages. It sounds simple and great, but it can also sound super scary of how do I even start doing that, right? And that's where Podium, or a company like Podium, right, jumps in and gives you a solution that says, hey, like, this is how you do it from start to finish, right? And that's why we have not built just a point solution. We built a full suite that says, hey, from beginning to end, from being found locally to starting the conversation via your website or via text, to getting paid, to starting a campaign, to then capturing feedback, right? We give you the tools and make it really simple for you to kind of dive in and take advantage of all these new, channels or strategies that we've talked about.
Yeah, and for us at Dealer Synergy, one of the things that I love working with Podium dealers is that we are a national training and consulting company, and what we're focused on is helping create the processes that are going to be in the CRM, the action plans, being able to help come up with the processes for, the communication, inbound, outbound, objections, rebuttals. We also help create the content, like these videos that go into the text messages. So we are a really good fit with Podium. You know what I mean? Like, we do the things that they don't do, and vice versa. So the synergy, again, pun intended, is really awesome. So again, I appreciate you guys allowing me to be able to share some of my experience with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sean. And to kind of throw it out there, we now work with over 100,000 businesses. What this stat blows my mind. We've now reached 1 in 3 cell phone users, right? I've been at Podium for quite a long time. Used to be 1 in 10 5 years ago. Last year it was 1 in 4. Now 1 in 3. I would say by next year 1 in 2. So that means 1 in 3, which you probably, everyone out there in the webinar may have already received a Podium text, but just don't know it, right? Like, just don't know that it came from Podium, because the business, is standardizing the way they communicate with you. They are branding it as themselves. So you may have already received a Podium text at some point, through your consumer journey.
I'm curious, because I didn't even know that stat. That's crazy. Is there anybody bigger in the text messaging field than you guys?
There is nobody bigger.
Okay. So no, I was gonna say, like, damn, that's 1 in 3 cell phone users in the United States. That's insane. So there's what, 300 something million Americans?
Yeah. So 100 million plus have received a Podium text.
All right, so what you're basically saying is that you could go with some basic company, no disrespect, that has some experience, or you could go with the Leviathan juggernaut that 100 million cell phones have gotten text messages from your company. My brother, that's crazy.
I'll just say, math doesn't lie. Math doesn't lie.
It's math, not magic. That's what I like to say.
Exactly.
All right, cool.
Well, that's everything for us. Thank you all for joining. Actually, I don't know if any questions have come in during the webinar so far. If you have any questions, but we'll stay and answer those right now.
Gentlemen, such great information and perspectives that both of y'all shared. Maybe just a couple points to touch on in our closing moments here. Perspectives from each of you. First off, since text messages and consumers could reply almost at any time, how do you address the time element, since especially from a vehicle sales perspective with the websites, it might show that the store is always open. How do you address with clients responding to text messages that might not happen during quote regular business hours?
You can go, or I can go.
I'll jump in, right? So
I'll jump in after you.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah. So after hours, we can automate a response that says, hey, we're currently closed. We open up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We'll text you then. What's really interesting is when we started diving into this web chat idea of moving things to text, this was about 4 years ago, we learned very quickly that a lot of people are doing their research after hours, right? And so there's a ton of after hours business that we probably were not capturing when we didn't have a web chat or some kind of texting tool on our website. People would go, they would see what they were looking for, but had no way to communicate. Maybe they would try an email and it would, go into the no man's land, right? So what we learned is that a ton of after hours business, that's actually okay with being told, great, I got your message via text, and text them back and says, hey, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., you're going to hear from us. And guess what? As a consumer, checkbox, right? I did what I'm tomorrow morning, via text, they're going to reach back out and I can start that conversation, right? I'm not going to search anymore for another competitor because I feel like I've resolved what I was looking for. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to start that conversation with that business.
I'm going to echo, what you just said. It's automation. And if you think about this strategically, if you think of like CRM, how you have a library of email templates, well, you can create the same thing. You could create a library of text message templates, text message that are plain text messages that are HTML, text message that are video, or hybrid of all the three. And so it's almost like pick your own ending. If they say this, you have this. So I just think about preparation. This is what Dealer Synergy does. This is why we work so well with Podium, is that we help create those content assets and the automation to be able to streamline the process. Because to your point, now there's another thing, and I don't know if you've seen this, Kurt, is that we've got clients like you all over the United States. And for example, in North Carolina, Fort Bragg, I was in the Army Reserves in ROTC when I was a kid. And, I have certain dealerships that have third shift. So that's another thing. So if there's not automation, certain dealers, it's the minority, but they actually have a team of people that are literally just vigilant in third shift, which is the overnight, not just with text messages, with chat or anything that they're doing. So I would say the two simple answers is either automation or strategic HR through third shift implementation.
Great points, gentlemen. Excellent. And to just round us out, as you both have highlighted, you can use text messaging to deliver so much great content via promotions, payment options, vehicle details, whatever the case may be. Just to round us out, how can dealers make sure to quell any concerns that their customers might have, that what they're sending is secure, that link or that whatever that content is that the dealer's trying to deliver is okay for the customer to engage with? How can dealers make sure they address that point?
Opt-ins. I think the answer is opt-ins, right? So when we think about marketing or sales messages, right, the TCPA laws require, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not giving legal advice, but opt-ins matter, right? When we think about payments via text, right, those are transactional, right? Those don't fall under the same guidelines. But when we think about sales or marketing or campaigns messages, we have to get opt-ins. And so you need to utilize a tool, if you haven't already, to capture opt-ins. Podium has a tool to allow you to capture options via QR codes, via your website, via the end of interaction with the consumer when they're leaving a review. There's numerous ways to do it. And it's a great point. I think a lot of businesses are not doing it today because they don't know how to capture opt-ins, right? That's struggle. How do I get an opt-in that I can now text them? So if you have a list already, you can use it, or you can use a tool like Podium or somebody else to capture those opt-ins so that you're able to communicate with them or campaign messages via text.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, to round us out, we're only a couple of weeks left here in 2021. The new year is straight ahead. Kurt, we'll begin with you, and then Sean, round us out. Just what your thoughts are, what you're looking forward to with the year ahead.
Well, first of all, I cannot believe it's already almost 2022. Blows my mind that we're almost at the end of 2021. Look, there's a lot of things that people are worried about. what I would say is a lot to be hopeful for, right? I'm excited for 2022. Personally, myself and in the business world, I think a lot of great things are happening. I'm excited to move into the next year. And I'll just go back, all the things we've talked about, texting and payments, none of that's local searches. That's not changing, right? It's going to only continue to increase into 2022 and beyond. So I think, you're not behind the 8 ball if you haven't done it yet, but now's the time to start, right? Because people are catching up, businesses are catching up and realizing that consumers don't want to call, they want to text.
Excellent. Sean, your thoughts on the new year?
I have a lot of thoughts. First of all, God bless America. In the middle of this pandemic, we have been the most profitable in the entire 23 years that I've been in this industry. Guys, I'm a keynote speaker for, Digital Dealer, NAMAD, 14-time NADA convention speaker. So I'm on stage a lot. And this year, we've been through a lot, but I just get back from NAMAD, and I'm telling you, the vibe is excitement all across the automotive industry. We are more profitable than we've ever been before, but I think that we've learned so much, and this is what I want to leave with everybody, because I have a huge conference that I'm doing called the IS20G in January. I'll mention it at the end, but one of the focuses is how do we prepare for 2022? And this is my advice to everybody. The first and foremost, everybody needs to understand that when COVID happened, it was like Thanos from the Avengers, that blip. Just like that, the world changed forever. The way that they engage, the way that they celebrate, the way that they communicate, the way that they shop, and the way that they buy. Now, Dr. Covey says from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it takes 6 weeks to make or break a habit. My God, January, it will be 2 years that we've been in COVID. So the world has changed. If dealers don't adopt the new reality of how your prospects and your clients are outside of your dealership world, are communicating with friends, family, with the grocery store, with their just day-to-day lives. If we're not realizing this is how human beings engage and communicate right now, you are going to miss market share. There's going to be some other dealer that is going to eat your lunch. So I implore you to please pay attention to what people that are very brilliant like Podium. I mean, for the love of God, look, I'm a car guy. I'm not a corporate guy. And look, I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box. But when you have a company that says, look, we have over 100,000 businesses, and out of 300 million Americans, over 100 million Americans are getting text messages for us, I'm paying attention. I mean, if somebody super smart is turning around and saying something super smart, I'm going to pay attention. So that's what I'm going to say. And the last thing I'm going to say is this, is that we are doing a huge event in Philadelphia, January 11th to 13th, called the Internet Sales 20 Group. And Podium said I could talk about that for a second. So we're going to have about 26 amazing speakers, a lot of dealer principals and GMs. And this is exactly what we're going to be talking about, how to go into 2022 and crush it. But embrace the evolution in the automotive industry is my only closing statement.
That's Sean V. Bradley of Dealer Synergy and Kurt Offerines with Podium. Gentlemen, thank you so much for all the great information and great perspectives looking into the new year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And on behalf of all of us at Cherokee Media Group, we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you again next time.